The Glitch Direct 2025 happened, announcing some new stuff. Murder Drones is getting a music video with the Living Tombstone, Digital Circus Episode 7 news, and even a slight bit of news on Episode 8. Some Gaslight District production news, and an expansion of the Glitch brand bringing out Glitch Presents, which is meant to help other shows create their stuff while keeping the rights with the original creators. So in this video, I'm going to go over everything and hopefully earn your like and subscribe by the end. If you want to look at a specific show, the video has chapters you can skip to, especially because I'm also going to ramble a little bit about some of the stuff. Let's jump into it with the first announcement. The Direct started off with Digital Circus Episode 7's teaser. It was the same clip shown at Comic-Con. It looks like the next episode's going to be a beach episode, with everyone already in their outfits. I mean, look at Gangle and Zubal. You already know there's questionable art of this. But they did announce the episode comes out December 12th, which isn't much of a surprise. December's a good month for YouTubers, so it's pretty nice to end the year off with a bang. And as a surprise, they also announced the release date for episode 8 being March 20th, 2026. Pretty interesting to see they already have the date pinned down, but they do make the Digital Circus episodes in batches, so it makes sense. I'll talk about it more when a trailer comes out, but my guess is for now is that maybe this is one of those adventures where Kane just isn't going to be involved at all. I don't see him anywhere in the trailer, so it's possible he's still glitching out or going on a mental breakdown after the previous episodes. I mean, in episode 6, he did just kind of give up and give the cast guns and then go off and do his own thing before the awards show, so maybe he's still struggling a little bit. And of course, Jax, he's off by himself, not really wanting to talk to Pomni or anything after the previous episode. I'm sure I'll make plenty of shorts on these. And considering they're in beach outfits now, I hope I don't have to do another smash or pass. I just want to say, for some reason, I think I know the reason why, you freaks. Those videos have done surprisingly well in terms of views and subscribers. It's kind of questionable what you lot enjoy. Oh, and also the Digital Circus episodes 5 to 7 will come out on Netflix when episode 7 drops in December. They said it's because people like watching stuff in batches on Netflix instead of just one episode at a time. So I guess that kind of makes sense. It's nice to see some news on the Netflix version, as a lot of people thought there was a bit of legal trouble considering Glitch had the streaming rights for a lot of their shows done by Amazon now. But it looks like Netflix still has the Digital Circus. So my assumption is on Netflix, episode 8 won't release until episode 9 also releases. The second announcement was Knights of Guinevere. It's not greenlit yet. The only thing that really happened was Dana Terrence came on and said, "Oh, thank you Glitch for helping me make the show I want to make with my other co-creators." Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, this was easily the worst announcement of the entire Direct. Simply just because nothing was announced and it felt more like an ad, with them just going, "Hey, buy more merch, so hopefully we can make it a full season and greenlight the show." And I don't want to be that guy, but the show is definitely already greenlit. You can't tell me this show wasn't greenlit the second Dana Terrence said, "Yeah, I'll happily make a show with you guys." Especially after the success of the pilot. I can't talk about merch sales because obviously I don't have the info for the merch sales, but view-wise, it did really good. And again, it's a show by Dana Terrence. Moving on to the third announcement, we have Murder Drones. It started off with a brand new animation for a music video with the Living Tombstone that comes out on Friday, the 17th of October. It was kind of funny, the entire chat pretty much spammed Murder Drones Season 2 and then immediately all lost steam and were disappointed when it was announced it wasn't a Season 2. I went in just expecting news on the graphic novel, which they did talk about slightly. They basically only announced, "Hey, yeah, the graphic novel's a thing." That ends in less than a week. Don't get me wrong, I think the music video is going to be really good. I've heard some of the Living Tombstone songs, they're pretty good, and I think it will definitely be better than that CG5 song. It's already questionable if it's canon or not. My assumption is it's probably going to be canon, because they started off by saying, "Hey guys, we're going to visit the world we know you love. That world that you haven't seen in over a year. Well, we want to do something for Murder Drone's first anniversary. So we're going to go back to that world you all love." So I assume this is canon and it's going to be like the only thing we ever see on post episode 8 content. I think it's going to be fun. The music will probably be good. I hope it's not copyrighted because I'll probably use it in the background of these videos and I'll probably make a review short on it. But at the same time, I'm not trying to sound like a spoiled fan and like I'm disappointed in everything. I'm glad Murder Drones did get something, but at the same time, is this it? But I kind of expected maybe a word from Wyatt Kennedy, the writer of the comics. You know, just him to come on and say like, hey guys, I'm making the comics and I'm gonna make them as best as I can. But they didn't do that. They didn't really say anything on the comic. They just said, you can go donate to the Kickstarter. Some people do think there's going to be merch of the music video, because at Comic-Con you can see Uzi and N in the same outfits they are in this teaser, and even Sin in this little like dinosaur outfit. My only guess for why they wouldn't announce merch in the direct is because they also have the Kickstarter stuff going on, and maybe they don't want people to choose between buying the Kickstarter or buying merch. But at the same time, the Kickstarter's been out for like a month or two. I feel you could have announced merch, or even just mentioned anything on the merch drop that people are still waiting for. We know there is meant to be one more merch drop, because they need to finish the vinyl set. I feel like they could have just put it in the direct, and it would have kept fans happy. I think there's definitely a lot of people that were quite disappointed by a music video, but still obviously excited for the music video. I will say, in, I guess, a little bit of a ramble, I am kind of glad they didn't announce a season 2 or anything. I think a lot of fan projects related to Murder Drones are set for 2026. I think Insecurity comes out soon, or at least comes out in 2026. So part of me thinks it could be a good idea to maybe only release like 1 or 2 official Murder Drones things through the year, like a merch drop, and then have 2026 be the year of the fans and let them sort of do their own thing and try have the show survive. Obviously release the graphic novel towards the end of the year and then start doing some Murder Drone stuff maybe midway through 2027. But I don't work at Glitch, so I don't know what they think. I'm assuming they have people who know marketing and know what fans would enjoy. I say that, but looking at this direct, I do have to question if they've got people who know what fans want. The fourth announcement was the Gaslight District. The creator Nick, otherwise known as a part-time seagull, came on and talked about some stuff, saying the show's doing well in its pre-production, and even gave us some episodes we'll be seeing. Every episode is going to push into the spotlight a different member of the family and show them off. There's going to be an episode of Ken messing with a monkey's paw, one where Breadhead attracts litter bugs, and one where Mud bets all of his money on a horse. It was nice to see that he also said about slowing down a bit for some of the episodes to fix some pacing issues and not having everything just like fly by. Glitch also announced that they're not actually working on the Gaslight District as in animation or anything right now. The 3D animation team are actually finishing Digital Circus before they move on to the Gaslight District, which is pretty interesting to hear. I think this is like the third best announcement out of the entire direct. I liked that they got part-time Seagull on to say a few words and even show off some of the stuff. So yeah, it might be like third or maybe even second best announcement of the entire direct. The fifth and final announcement, the secret mystery one, they gave some news on Lackadaisy. Yeah, that indie pilot about the cats that are like rum runners or something. They're like in the Prohibition era, blah blah. The really nicely animated one. So Glitch and Lackadaisy are working together. This isn't a surprise considering the teams have actually worked together before. I'm pretty sure Glitch's merch people also deal with the Lackadaisy merch in their final project or final product, whatever their like merch branch is called. Basically, what Glitch are doing is they're opening a new expansion of the sort of brand. They'll have Glitch Originals, which are things like Murder Drones, the Digital Circus, and the Gaslight District. Stuff that is made in-house at Glitch and owned by Glitch. Meanwhile, other stuff like indie shows that are already pretty much out, they'll do Glitch Presents, where Glitch gives funding, support, and help for those shows, but don't actually own anything on them. For example, they do say in the direct they don't specifically have to air it on YouTube, so hypothetically, if the Lackadaisy team wanted, they could go give their show to Amazon or Netflix, and Glitch wouldn't really care. You know, Glitch, if you want a Glitch Presents or even a Glitch original show, my emails and Discord are open. I can't even say that with a straight face. Working with Glitch would be, like, genuinely a dream. So that's why I don't think it will happen. Little rant, but yeah, I do think the Glitch Presents stuff is amazing, and I can definitely see a lot of people contacting Glitch in hopes they'll get picked up. But again, Glitch, you know, my emails and Discord, and anything else, it's always open. I've got a great show. Is there any shows you hope get picked up by Glitch Presents? Also, we're not done with Lackadaisy news yet. Lackadaisy announced that Olin Rogers is going to be helping with the production. If you don't know who that is, he worked on the show Final Space. It was originally like a indie pilot thing on YouTube. I remember watching it. It's about like this guy in space and his team. They used to have the streaming rights internationally on Netflix, but then they kind of cancelled the show, and Netflix don't put it on their streaming service anymore. Last I heard, he was granted permission to do a graphic novel to end the show off, but obviously you'd still want a final season. But yeah, it was really cool to see Olin Rogers actually make an appearance and be like, hey, I'm working on Lackadaisy. I'm sure he'll be able to help the team out a lot, because I'm sure he has a lot of love for his shows, and also knows a bit about producing stuff, because obviously he did Final Space. Oh, and in the spirit of teasing stuff on like future projects, with Glitch doing it, here's a little teaser for the video I'm working on, or at least like the main video I'm working on, which is a Cliffside video, going over Liam Vickers' project Cliffside and talking about it. And I think this one may be important, okay? I'm telling you, Waylon is a monster, okay? Waylon might be one of the Wendigos. I'm not insane, don't drag me away to a padded cell. So at the end of the episode, they're talking about what happened to the previous sheriff. They're like, I don't know, he just went missing one day. Probably died by like bandits or something. And Waylon gives the camera a smile, as in he knows something. And then in the newspaper, they're going on about the monsters are among them. And the first like section of the newspaper says, some random kid, don't even know who he is, we've got like 20 people here, he must be a real nobody. Either he's a real nobody, or he only showed up now. Could my theory be easily disproven by a line from Jo saying her and Waylon have been friends since she was a child? Maybe, but maybe that's a false memory. I'm telling you, Waylon's a monster, or he has some evil stuff that he's hiding from everyone. I'm onto him. I'm watching, okay? I don't trust him. Not one bit. That was a short, like, minute clip that I'm probably going to cut out of the main video, so I thought I'd share it here. I'm cutting it because I learned some new information that kind of disproves that, and also, I don't really know what I want to do with the video's length. I originally had it planned to be like 15 minutes at most, where I'd just talk about the episode, what some of the people did after it, and what the future of Cliffside looks like. But then I joined the Liam Vickers Discord, where I found out a few other little bits of information that I couldn't help but mention, so it might be a little bit longer, reaching somewhere in the 20 to 30 minute range, but I like talking about Liam Vickers projects, okay? But I hope to get the video out sometime before the end of the month. So overall, a lot of cool things. I think the biggest thing here is actually the Lackadaisy stuff. Don't get me wrong, the Digital Circus stuff is cool, announcing the next 2 episodes' release dates and even giving a teaser, but I can't deny that Lackadaisy working with Glitch and also the whole show off of the Glitch Presents stuff is so much more bigger news and fantastic news. I'm kind of glad they're doing it as Glitch Presents instead of just basically buying up every single indie show in existence. I know Glitch have a lot of care for shows, but I think if they just started buying up every single indie show in existence, that would cause a bit of an issue. So I like the way that they're doing it, and I definitely think Glitch still have care for these shows and just want to help out indie shows and animation in general. The second best are either going to the Digital Circus or the Gaslight District. The Digital Circus one was cool, it was nice to get the 2 release dates, but I can't deny, I was a bit more interested in the Gaslight District's information of announcing what some of the episodes could be, and even having the creator come on and talk a little bit about the production. So the fourth best was the Murderous announcement, where they just talked about the graphic novel saying you can go buy it, and then also the announcement of a music video that we'll be releasing. And sadly, in my opinion, that leaves Knights of Guinevere as the worst announcement of the entire direct. Again, it's nice, I know not every single show has to have news, but at the same time, all they said for Knights of Guinevere was basically, hey, we haven't greenlit the show yet, at least publicly we haven't greenlit the show, so how about you go buy merch in hopes of us being able to make a full season. But yeah, overall, a bunch of cool stuff, and I do just want to ramble about this for a second. Correct me if I'm wrong, Glitch isn't indie anymore, right? I know they play up the indie stuff a little bit and helping indie creators, but they're pretty much a full-on studio, right? I just want to say this because, a little bit of a rant here, I see a lot of people, especially on the internet, kind of gatekeep shows and act like indie is instantly a 10 out of 10 and anything that isn't indie is bad. Like, I don't think Glitch losing the indie status would be a bad thing. I actually think it could be pretty good for them, and also other brands seeing that this stuff works, what Glitch are doing, and they should probably change their business models to include similar things. Just because you're no longer indie doesn't mean you have to lose the heart and soul of a lot of your works. I just kind of hate it when people gatekeep stuff and act like indie is a mark of quality. It just annoys me, especially on the internet, when I see people act like every single indie show that releases is an instant 10 out of 10. Not because the show is genuinely a really good show with like good writing or good characters or good music or anything, but they pretend it's good just because it's indie, or at least that's the way they kind of announce it to the world. It does go the other way around as well, where there's some indie projects I see that, for lack of a better word, kind of suck, but for some reason they get instant passes. Don't get me wrong, I understand that some things can be excused, like for example, say the voice acting or the animation is a bit shit, but the story is absolutely amazing and one of the best stories I've ever seen in my entire life. But there's some things I see that come out and again, they just kind of suck, but people act like they're 10 out of 10 just because they're indie. Okay, little rant over. I will say I'm very surprised no merch was announced for anything. I kind of expected at least a little bit of announcement to say like, oh, and here's a teaser at some of the merch we're going to release in December, for example. And then they show like, I don't know, a Pomni keychain. As I said earlier, some people do think Murderous merch is going to get released alongside the music video, which I wouldn't deny, I wouldn't hate the idea, but once again, I just don't understand what Glitch's decision is to not just put that in the Glitch Direct and tell fans like, don't worry, you have that merch drop you've been waiting for coming, but instead they just kind of tease fans with the music video that disappointed most of them. Again, overall, fun direct, some great news, but tell me, what were you most excited for? How would you rank the announcements? And just your overall thoughts on everything. Also, again, how you guys like these videos. These little rant to ramble videos, doing some new stuff in bigger sections instead of just stretching this across 50 shorts like some people do. Also, sorry I didn't get this out within like the first 2 hours of the direct like some YouTube channels did. That's some crazy work for them, but I don't work that fast. But I do hope I was able to earn your like and subscribe. There's other videos you can go check out, and in case I don't see you again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.